Hello and welcome everyone to this week's episode of the podcast. This week I am joined by the wonderful Natalie, who has her own wonderful jewelry business. And Natalie is also a member of the Jewellery Business Academy. So I just wanted to get her onto the podcast because I don't think we've had anyone who is a member of the Jewellery Business Academy on the podcast for a while to talk a bit about her journey into jewelry making, her jewelry business, what she's doing now, and also how being part of the Jewellery Business Academy has helped her. So for anyone who doesn't know the Jewellery Business Academy, so it's quite a lot to say, isn't it? Jewellery Business Academy, JBA, as we could say, is a one-year program that people can join at any level of jeweler. So you can be a beginner or you can be a seasoned pro, and we work on your jewelry business together. So we work on all different aspects from branding, vision setting, to photography, your marketing, your Instagram, your launches, your pricing. The list goes on because there's a lot to deal with when you're running a jewelry business. And we believe that it is much better to do it together as a team rather than on your own. So a big welcome, Natalie. Thank you so much
Hi, thank you.
for joining me today.
Thank you
So
for
tell
having me.
us a bit, tell us a bit to get started about you. How did you come to jewelry making? Is it something that you've always done, or is it something that kind of came to you a little bit later?
I should say, probably accidentally, I'd been playing with ceramics for several years, and my husband gifted me a ring for our 10-year anniversary. But I found that all the rings I saw were a bit boring, and I wanted to have something that reflected us as a family of three. So I had a ring, I designed a ring, made it in foil, drew it all out, took it to a bespoke jeweller's. And after wearing that ring, I was working in a gallery at the time, and someone loved it and said their friend was a great jewelry teacher. And I thought, oh, that'd be really good. Let's give it a try. And I thought I wouldn't like metal, having loved ceramics so much. But in the end, I got hooked, obviously. And and with things like lockdown as well, more playing at home, I just found it's just got an endless, you can go in so many different directions. There's still so much to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. So it all started with a gift. And I
Yeah.
guess you're a bit more of a jewelry designer before you were a jewelry maker because you were like, wait a minute, this design isn't good enough. I need to design my own piece, which I
Yeah.
love.
It was
Um,
more the symbolism. Yeah, that was it. I found everything
yeah,
looked a bit similar, samey, and I wanted something a
yeah. And
bit
did you
different.
have like a arts degree or an arts background? Because you said you were doing ceramics and you've always kind of made
Yeah.
things. Have you always been a creative?
I've always been a creative. I did languages and arts, kept the arts as a hobby. I worked behind the scenes for arts festivals, arts Bucks Art Week, so always supporting makers and artists after many years in the travel industry, but never being one myself, always doing it as a hobby.
Mm.
And I guess a couple of things. My mother was very ill in France and I was quarantining a lot. So it helped me set up at home. And another thing was she left me some money when she passed away. So I put it all to tools and workbenches and courses until that ran out. But it helped set me up. And then the year after, I had breast cancer, which actually was a fantastic year because I did everything I loved, and that was making. And gifting away is what made it start then. I gifted a necklace to my gallery boss at the time for a birthday, and she then said, let's have your jewellery in the gallery. So it was all very lucky, I feel, very lucky.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, I mean, there's a lot in there. I love how positive you are about everything all the challenges that you face and that
Oh,
you've been able to see how jewelry has been it sounds like it's been a real kind of lovely
yeah.
space for you in that
Yes.
struggle, because obviously there's a lot of struggle in what you've shared, but you were able to find room to have a bench, to start
Yeah.
making, to do courses, to
That's it.
develop those things. And I love that your approach to having breast cancer is like, well, I'm going to do everything I want to do now because
Yes.
who knows, life is
Seriously.
short. Who knows what's going to
Oh,
happen?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's so true.
yeah.
When they suggested having chemo, I just said there's one thing I want to do, and it's a porcelain course in Tuscany, and it was a porcelain jewelry course. And he let me pause it for 1 week so that I could go to Tuscany and do this course. And I was nearly in tears at the end. I was just so ecstatic to have had that opportunity, which I probably would never have got to have done if I hadn't said, Andy, I'm going to go and do this course in Italy. I would have always felt too guilty to abandon the family for a week for myself. So, yeah, lucky.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? How sometimes we need things to happen to us to propel us
Yeah.
forwards. And I love that that was your approach because I can imagine it would be so easy to just go into fear and worry and like stop everything and no one would blame anyone for doing that because it's, such a big thing to have these health things that happen in our lives. But that you were just like, I can't do chemo this week. I'm going to Tuscany. I've booked myself onto a course.
Exactly.
Sorry, guys. I'll do it when I'm back.
Yeah.
So I love that
Yeah.
that's how it turned out for you,
Well,
and that you're well now, and
oh
hopefully
yeah, absolutely. Sorry, yeah, and I mean, I was so well looked after. So that's by the by. Everyone was just wonderful. So yeah,
Mm.
I just spoilt myself really. Yeah.
As you
Mm.
should, as you should. So
Yes.
tell us a bit about your making journey. So did you start with like a beginner's silver class? Did you know you wanted to do silver right away, or did you? Yeah, tell us some of the courses and things that
I
you've
think
done.
I just turned up to this class in Brighton and just started making, and it wasn't a formal week by week class, so I could just play with anything and develop certain avenues. And then it was at home I started casting and making organic shapes, and that's what I loved, trying to make something a bit more organic and you can't find anywhere else. And so that's the path I took with the jewellery making, and creating collections now using the casts and repetition of those. Yeah.
Mm. And Natalie's jewelry is absolutely beautiful. I've seen it in the flesh. So definitely, if
You're
you're
kind.
listening, go and check her out. We'll
Oh.
make sure we put your Instagram and everything, your website in the show notes. So tell us a bit about your business journey. So at what point did you think, okay, I want to turn this into a jewelry business? Was that from the get go, as soon as you started making, or were you sort of, I know for some people it's like, well, this is costing me money, so I need to make money.
Yeah.
Or when did the business aspect kind of come in?
I had already signed up to the Jeweller's Business Academy course when I had these setbacks, and but I must have just wanted this to happen in the background, but felt to probably never feeling like it would happen. But then it was true that just by gifting away and people liking what I was giving them, and then the gallery boss, that was it. Then when she said, "Right, we'll put a date in the diary, let's launch you." And that was then when I realized, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. But all of the content that I hadn't even gone through all of it, you had the answers to everything were there. So from the planning, from the deciding what my collection would be, from even a website. I was paying Shopify, but I hadn't actually put any content on there. And I suddenly realized I was teaching myself, and I realized, I wonder if there's something about Shopify on the Jeweller's Academy, and it was all there. And I did my website in a week. I think I did everything in 2 weeks for the gallery
Wow.
launch. But luckily, I could just dip in and out of all the contents. So yeah,
Mm.
and I know there's still things like bookkeeping I need to be better on being on top of, and social media. That's another fear thing, but whatever it's there. Even what you need for a fair, like I've enjoyed doing one or two fairs now. Yeah, you've got everything to help support anyone in whichever avenue they go down, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think, you're right, like all the content's there and the community's there, which is brilliant. But what I love is that you found it and you were like, right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make this Shopify website this week. And I think
Mm,
you're very good at putting things into action, which is such an important skill as a business owner, is sort of not just because it's so easy to want something, isn't it? And think, oh, I want to do a website, I want to do a
mm,
fair, or I'd like to do this. And like you talked about it a little bit, we all have, I think, a little bit of that fear of like, well, what if
yeah.
it doesn't work out? What if I waste my time? What if I waste my money? What if, all these what ifs? And I
Mm.
love that you were just like, well, I'm just going for it and I'm going to do the website and I'm going to do
Oh,
these fairs. And I think something that's really lovely about your business as well is that you're so passionate about what you do and you're so bubbly. And so people are kind of drawn to you in terms of
oh,
like, you just share about things in a really positive way. And I think that does make a big difference because we know that we buy from people's energy as well, not just their
oh,
products.
yeah.
So the excitement behind what you do and the joy behind what you do, I think is a really big part of your business as well.
Oh,
What would you
thank
say has
you.
been your biggest challenge so far in your jewelry business?
Uh, oh, biggest challenge, biggest challenge. Probably
Take
is
the
social
honest.
media. It probably
Social
is.
media, tell us about that.
Yeah, I think it's putting yourself out there, or I know it is you're just having a chat, but it's one-sided. I guess there's
Mm.
that. Maybe it's that I love people so much, but I'm also shy, so I have this bumbling energy. But I love, like a dog. I say to people, I bound up to them. But also being
Like a
shy, then I
puppy, like
think
a
I
lovable puppy.
yeah, so, oh, you're lovely, Arlo. But I think doing it on social media feels, oh, I don't know, just yeah, insecurities, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, it can feel quite vulnerable, can't it? And I think what's
Mm.
amazing is you've been able to build a business without without hugely investing in social media. It does show that you can do it in different ways. So you
Yes.
might be
Yeah.
one of those people where craft fairs are going to, and fairs and events and galleries
Yes.
is your kind of wheelhouse. That might be
Yeah.
where you're going to really shine. But then, you never know, you might come to be more comfortable with social media, but we don't have to be good at everything. I think that's really important. We just have to be ourselves and kind of put
Yeah.
ourselves out there. And tell us a bit about, because you've created this gorgeous collection and you're selling in a gallery and you sell on your website and all those kind of things and at fairs. How did you come up with your collection, design wise? Because you've got quite a strong style, and
Gosh.
it kind of is across
Thank you.
everything that you do. It's always hard to see it ourselves, isn't it? We think, well, I just make stuff. But what
No.
would you say you're inspired by, or how would you kind of come up
Um,
with your pieces?
Weirdly, dreams. Sometimes I think when
Mm.
I was really in the making before the show, I was having strong dreams and even making in the dreams, which is very odd. And often, even if I'd write down a plan, I still go off on tangents, and it would be 10 p.m. at night in the shed. I think, oh, this is going to work, and it wasn't on my plan, but that would be the happy moment, and actually that would be the piece that people are more drawn to. So
Mm.
I think sometimes it's good to have a plan, but to just allow a bit of creative freedom is also good too. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And I love you talked about you have very organic kind of style. And I think it's just really nice to see it evolve and to see it evolve into pieces. You've got like smaller pieces and then you've got big statement pieces and you've got silver and you've got gold and yeah,
Yes.
and you wear it and it looks gorgeous and
Oh, no, you
it's
kind.
really nice to kind of
Oh,
see the growth of that
thank
side of
you.
things, the design side as well. And how about pricing? Tell us a bit about your relationship to pricing, because this is
Uh,
something most jewelers struggle with.
so
And you
true.
said in your first year, you said you gave everything away for free, which I love as a starting point. But I imagine there must have been a point where you thought, okay, if this is a business, I need to charge for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us a bit about
I think, well, a couple of things. I was lucky that to start in the gallery, I knew I had to be aware of commission for the gallery. So I would be losing. So I thought, even if I paid myself £10 an hour for just to get going would be great. But then keeping the same prices, if I was selling in person, then I'm getting the profit. So that helped at least give a bit of a benchmark and then offer some discounts when I when I couldn't help it, when someone's about to buy it. But at least I felt that I had a bit of wiggle room, and I was at least making sure I covered all costs and allowing for a bit of increase as well.
that.
But yes, I do need to almost stay stum and not not like offer discounts, because it does cheapen your work as well. If you do that, it's like you say that you don't believe it's worth the work when you spend hours and hours on a piece. And yeah, and also not to therefore make it tougher for other jewelers. We're all in it together.
Mm.
So that's it. And I would probably double check online just to see if I googled something of a similar type, if it was on the same sort of lines. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of market research to kind of see
Yes.
where you're at with things. And yeah, no, it sounds like you're on the journey, and it's a bit of a journey, isn't it? Pricing and yeah, kind
Yes.
of building up the confidence to be like, right, okay, this is how much I'm going
Yes.
to charge, and trusting that it's worth it, and that yeah, and that you can build your business in that way. And so I think that's really lovely. And how did you find it working in the gallery? Do you think that's helped you to understand your customer and the kind of people that might buy from you?
Yes, definitely that helped. Although I think I already would have been more aligned with them, probably loving galleries myself and as well. So I wasn't actually creating for the gallery customer, but it seemed to fit as well in the end. And the gallery's since shut, so that's why taking it out on the road. It's nice to see as well. It seems to be a similar type of buyer that's attracted to my work. But at least I could see for a gallery what they like to have from artists, you know, whether it is a product sheet, pricing, descriptions, sizing. If you give them all the information ahead of the show, then it makes their life easier. And photography that they can put on their website and
Mm.
descriptions, so that they're not, you know, saying the wrong thing either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think that's such a good point because you worked at the gallery before the jewelry was there. So you
Yes.
had, I
Yes.
think, so you had this kind of insider knowledge of like, what do
Yeah.
we need to know as someone who's selling maybe paintings and ceramics and other things at the gallery? If someone were to walk in off the street and say, "Oh, I love this painting. Can you tell me more about it?" You, as the sort of sales assistant, needs to know all of that stuff. And like you said, if
Yes.
someone was doing that with our jewelry, it's so useful for the gallery to have like we often call it a line sheet or an information pack where it's like, oh, this is what it's made out of, this is the designer, and kind of bits of information around the story behind the piece so that you can effectively share and sell the pieces. So I think that's a great thing to think about for anyone listening who's thinking, oh, I'd love to have my jewelry in a
Yeah.
gallery or shop. It's a similar kind of
Yes.
process, isn't it? Of, understanding the
That's
product essentially. Yeah, awesome.
yeah.
So if somebody was like brand new to starting their own jewelry business and they came to you and said, Natalie, what is your what's the one lesson you've learned or the best piece of advice you can give? What would you say? What comes to mind?
Oh, follow your heart, make what you love, because it's true that if you suddenly have to make several of the same thing and you find it boring, then it's never going to work for you. So that's something. I have found that I've ended up tailor making things to people using my casts rather than buying just what I have. So that's been a nice experience. Yeah, yeah, do what you love. And the other thing was what I took from you was the word for the year or the time ahead. You know, to pick a word. So last year I hadn't picked a word till the September before the gallery asked me to
Love
do it,
it.
and it was courage. That was one. And this year I put opportunities, and I'm just saying yes to everything. And it's been I've put myself out of my comfort zone, but also it's been really rewarding as well. So just signing up to fairs and open houses and whatever, and just saying yes, and that has really helped me along. Um, yeah.
Amazing. I love that. Yeah. Follow your heart, do what you love, pick your intention and then go for it. And I love that that your word was opportunity and that you've just gone for it and you're trying things and
Yeah,
it's working and you're doing it. So, and I think it does take a lot of courage, doesn't it? Especially when
it
it's your
does.
business and it's your
Yeah.
jewelry that you've made. We can feel it's so personal.
Mm,
And I'm sure you know the difference as well, having sold other people's art in a gallery and then
mm.
selling your own. It's
Right.
like, oh
Oh, yeah.
gosh,
Oh,
that's
hopeless. I was always directing everyone to everyone else's work at the open house and almost prevent when people were trying on my rings, just I was distracting them and sending them elsewhere, and they'd take off my rings to hear about this other work nearby. And I thought, stop doing that. But still, yeah, you learn on the job. A lot of it is learning on the job.
yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely. It's all
yeah,
a bit of a process. So when
certainly.
did you come to the Jewelry Business Academy? I know you've shared a bit about this already, but what kind of things have you found the most useful? Because like you said, there's so much in there, it's impossible to kind
Yeah.
of do it all in one go. But what are the things that has been most helpful for you?
Well, firstly, everyone that you meet in the academy on the Zooms, they're fantastic. I love everyone in my Zoom, and that already helps. Everyone's very up for sharing their situations. No one has ever been guarded about what they do, how they sell. Everyone seems to be really open. That camaraderie is great. And also, I know now with the monthly kind of boot camp, it does help by just acknowledging what are your goals, suddenly realised, gosh, a month goes so fast for everyone. But just to have that accountability, what did I say I was going to do? Oh, yes, have I done it? Will I not do it? And that helps. I think we all need a bit of, signing in, and because on our own I can easily go into a vortex, and but if I've got this check and my notebooks are constantly full of scribbles, but it does help tick through. Yeah, time goes
Yeah.
so fast.
I think you're so right about the accountability, like,
Mm,
especially when we're running businesses on our own, it's so easy to let months go past and be like, what was I doing? What did I want to
yes.
do? And I think it can happen both ways. Sometimes we do so much and we look back and feel disheartened, like, oh, I've not done enough. But also sometimes or I know that I will often just find like a shiny ball, they call it, like a new project where you're just like, oh, just do this.
yes.
And it's like, well, hang on a minute,
Oh,
wasn't I working towards something here? And I think you're right, just having that community of people. So in the Jewellery Business Academy, as Natalie will know, you're put into small
mm,
Zoom groups and you meet with those groups every month. And so, kind of someone saying, oh, Natalie, like, how's it going with the gallery? Or like, how's the fair prep going? Is there anything
mm,
you need to talk about? And having that kind of network of people who know what you're doing and are asking and are checking in, I think
mm.
I agree we all need some of that from some,
Yeah, it's true.
and
And I
it's
think
lovely.
I think we're all really hard on ourselves too. Why?
Mm.
Why are we so hard on ourselves? And I've realised that at least with all this checking in with others, it's a bit of kindness too, because we're always kind of whipping ourselves, and if I haven't done everything or I haven't missed classes or whatever, but I think it's nice that we can G each other on as well. That's been nice.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anna Campbell, the community manager, she often talks about this idea of having a to-do list as well as a to-do list. And the
Yeah.
to-do list is like all the things that you did. And it's like, yeah, almost having
Oh,
gratitude for yourself. And like, even if you didn't get your goals reached that month, it's like, well, what did you
mm,
do? And actually, almost always, there's so much that we've done, even if it's things
yeah.
like I took care of myself, or I took care of a relative because something was happening, or I went to Tuscany and did an awesome class, or,
I
whatever it
went again last week for 3 days.
is.
Yeah, I did, to Florence to see the same teacher, but working on my own project.
Oh,
So I managed to get out again. One more go.
yeah, and
Yes.
it's so nice to have these, like, almost like artist dates, isn't it? These creative
Gosh,
times
yeah.
when you can just focus on your own creativity and maybe get out of the business and get out of the
Yes.
family life day to day and just be
Oh,
like, what do I wanna make? And
yeah.
kind of feeding that creative aspect of yourself as well. I think that's really important for us all. So
Yes.
awesome. Well, Natalie,
Yeah.
you're a great example of somebody who's, started your business, running your business, going
Oh,
after all the opportunities, having
oh
that
dear.
positive mindset. So thank you so much for coming and
Oh.
sharing a bit of that with us today. If people want to come and check you out online, what's your website? What's your Instagram? How
It's
can we find you?
www.natibijou.co.uk. Being half French, I've used the bijou, and at Natty Bijou, Natty underscore Bijou on social media.
Amazing. We'll make sure we
Thank
put the
you.
links to both of those in the show notes. Do go and give Natalie a follow on Instagram and tell her to not be afraid of social media and
That's
to
it.
say hi. Make sure she's not having a one sided conversation, but also give her a follow because she's just lovely and
Oh,
doing lots of awesome
oh.
things. And yeah, Natalie, we wish you the best of luck and look forward to seeing what's next for your jewelry business. So thanks again.
Thanks, Jess. That's really kind. Thank you.